Welcome to PCMRP's video tutorial series. In this video, we'll cover a quick overview of how PCMRP functions from sales order to manufacturing and invoicing. As you can see, this diagram charts the progress of a sales order as it makes its way through the factory until the final step, where it is invoiced and shipped. For this example, let's imagine we are manufacturing bicycles, each of which consists of a frame, a handlebar, a seat, two wheel assemblies. Each wheel assembly consists of one bearing and 40 spokes. Now let's say a customer calls and places an order for 10 bicycles with your company. The salesman would enter the sales order for 10 bicycles into PCMRP. This step would increase demand for 10 bicycles. It does not increase demand for the handlebars, seats, and spokes. The next step, generating an MRP, does that. At some point in the next day or so, manufacturing will generate an MRP. Pressing the OK button will allow PCMRP to examine all the open sales orders, on-hand quantities, shortages in WIP, min stocking levels, etc. It will then create buy, issue, make, and sale action items based on each sales order's due date and the lead time for each part number and each assembly. These action items will be stored in the action database file. Manufacturing and purchasing can then print out or display buy, issue, and make action item reports to determine what they should do to get the sales orders out on time. Purchasing would examine its buy requirements and enter purchase orders, increasing the on-order quantity of the components that are being ordered. When the component parts come in, receiving would enter the receivers, increasing the quantity on hand of the component parts and decrementing the quantity on order of those component parts. When manufacturing is ready to build the bicycles, they would use the stockroom module to issue the sales order to manufacturing. This decrements the on-hand quantity of the component parts and increments the quantity and WIP of the component parts. It should be noted that the stockroom could also issue finished subassemblies such as wheels built to stock using work orders, or if the wheels are not available, PCMRP would issue the bearings and spokes with the sales orders, thus allowing the manufacturing floor to work on the bicycles and wheels simultaneously. When manufacturing has completed the bicycles, they would use the stockroom module to receive back completed assemblies for manufacturing. The component parts and subassemblies would be decremented from WIP, and the bicycles would now be on hand. This is often referred to as backflushing, as the component parts are no longer in stock, nor are they in WIP. The final step is to invoice the sales order for the bicycles. This would decrement the quantity of finished goods and the quantity on demand of the finished bicycles. It should be noted that PCMRP forces users to invoice and then ship. We felt it would be better to invoice and forget to ship rather than to ship and forget to invoice. Now let's go through each of these steps. Entering a sales order, generating an MRP, entering a PO, receiving a PO, using the stockroom to issue a sales order, using the stockroom to receive back the sales order, and finally invoicing a sales order. First, to enter a sales order, I will select Modules, Sales Order, and New. I will select Order Entry. This will create a sales order and not an invoice. Once the part is built, then I'll use the invoice module to create an invoice. If I selected on account and carry or cash and carry, an invoice and sales order would have been created and the finished assemblies would be decremented from stock. I would only use the cash and carry or on account and carry option if I were shipping the product today. I will select terms. Let's see, net 30, ship via UPS ground, and FOB for destination. If I were to leave these fields blank, the settings would be inserted automatically from the address book. I'll select Resale as the tax type and press the OK button. I will enter ABC as the customer's name, press Enter, select ABC Tools, and press the OK button. I'll enter the PO number, 777777. I will enter a part of the description. Let's see, REAR space WH for rear wheel axle assembly, and press the Enter key. I will accept the rear wheel axle assembly and press the OK button. I'll enter $5 as freight and the date required, 11/10/2012. I'll enter another part number. To do that, I'll press the Add Item button. Notice we are now on line item 2. I will enter WHE for the wheel into the description field and hit enter. To see all of the items, all of the line items for a sales order, I will press the Items and Notes button. Here I can view and edit all of my line items and enter the boilerplate that will appear at the bottom of the sales order. I'll press OK to return to the sales order data entry screen. Since I'm finished with this sales order, I will press the Finish button. I will click on Yes to print out and display the sales order. I can send the sales order to display, print, PDF, or email as a PDF file. This last option requires Outlook and not Outlook Express. I will select Display and Custom Sales Order. Here you can see we've added a company logo to the custom sales order form. If I wanted to print out the sales order from this screen, I would select Printer, both here or here. But I'm going to hit the X box and exit out. We're now ready to use PCMRP's Infinite Bucket module to generate action items. This will allow PCMRP to create a schedule to build this sales order along with the other sales orders and work orders that were already in the system. Once you've added this and other sales orders to your existing open sales orders, you would need to generate an MRP. Generating an MRP creates an action database file. PCMRP uses the action database file to generate manufacturing schedules. These schedules will tell operations when to purchase items, when to issue items, when to assemble items, and when to ship items. So let's get started. To generate an MRP, I would select Optional, Infinite Bucket, and Generate Action Items. I will select Stores as the area containing the stock that parts can be issued from. I could select any combination of areas to provide the parts we will need. I will select Open Sales Orders and Open Work Orders to drive demand. Work orders that are checked as consumable will be used to fill open sales orders provided that the date required is earlier than the date required on the sales order that is intended to help fill. I could have also included open sales quotes with their probabilities factored in. I will check Recommend vendors with the best price. I'll also ask PCMRP to factor in demand for labor requirements and to respect minimum stocking levels. I will now press the OK button. PCMRP will generate your schedule. At large companies such as Square D, this function takes about 5 minutes. Let's see. No errors were recorded, so I'll hit the OK button. We're now ready to display and print out our MRP reports. To generate a graphical timeline report, I would select Optional, Infinite Bucket, and MRP Timeline. I will select the sales order that I am interested in. Let's see, 000102, line item 0001. The horizontal timeline is displayed at the top. It shows I need to purchase 12 rear axle assemblies on November 10th for delivery on November 24th. Here we can see all of our buy action items in blue, issue action items in turquoise, make action items in red, and ship action items are shown with a blue diamond. I will click on the X box to return to my main menu. To generate a printed MRP report, I would select Optional, Infinite Bucket, and Print Action Item Reports. For a basic MRP report that contains running totals by part number, I will select All Action Items. Check to include all action items. Make sure not to select Consolidate. Select all dates. Sort by part number. Send the report to display. I could have sent the report to print, Excel, PDF, etc. But for this report, I'll select display. Let's see, standard report, and click on the OK button. I will make this a full screen and change the zoom to 75%. Here we can see that our bearing has an on-hand quantity of 5. The driving sales and work orders shown in the second column require that we buy and issue to build the assemblies for those sales orders. As you can see, we'd have 10 on hand on 11/16 and we'd end up with 10 on 11/20. The reason being, if we were to edit the bearing, we would see that the minimum quantity for this bearing is 10. For a simple buy report, I can exit out of this report and uncheck all the included action items except for the buy action items, and press the OK button. I will make this full screen and change the zoom to 75%. Here we can see that we need to buy 26 bearings broken out by driving sales orders and dates the orders need to be placed on and the dates they need to come in by. I will exit out of this report. Let's run a push-pull report by selecting Push-Pull Report and pressing the OK button. I'll make this full screen and change the zoom to 75%. Here we can see that it is telling us to change the delivery date of PO1 from 10/24 to 10/23. It is telling us to cancel PO2 as we do not need that PO. I will press the X button to get back to my main menu. Since we have generated the MRP and it is telling us what to buy, let's move on to creating purchase orders. To enter a new purchase order, I can select Modules, Purchase, and New. I will enter the quantity first. This will allow PCMRP to highlight the vendor with the best price for that quantity. I'll enter 26 as per our PCMRP MRP buy report. Next, I will press the Enter key on my keyboard. Now I will type in the first couple of characters of the part's description, BE for bearing, and hit the Enter key. I could have entered the first couple of characters of the part number, the manufacturer, or the model number, and PCMRP would display the correct part number as well. I'll select bearing and press the OK button. PCMRP now displays the approved vendor list for this part. It has highlighted the vendor with the best price at the quantity I entered. I can select any vendor on the list, but I'll stay with DigiKey and press the OK key. Since all my information is automatically inserted from the address and inventory modules, I just need to enter my date required and press the Finish button. So let's see, 12/12/2012, and press the Finish key. Finish button. I will press the Yes button to print out the purchase order. I'll select Display. I could have selected Display, Print, Email as PDF file, etc. But I'll stay with Display. I'll select Custom, where I've added our company logo, and press the OK button. Now you can see I've added our logo to the custom PO form. Custom PO form templates can be created by using Configuration, Settings, and Utilities, option 24. I can print out this purchase order by selecting Print here or here. I will exit this screen and return to PCMRP's main menu. If you would like to see the full capabilities of PCMRP's purchasing module, click on the Purchasing Module slideshow and or the Purchasing Module video in the MRP 101 section of our website. Now that we've placed the purchase order, we'll go over using the Receiving module to receive the purchase order. To receive a PO, I can select Modules, Receive, and New. I will select Stores as the area I will receive the parts into. I could have selected another area such as Inspection, QC, but I will select Stores. I will press the Yes button and scroll the purchase order records. I'll enter the purchase order number, let's see, 000003, and press the Search button, and then click on the OK button. After I've confirmed this is the purchase order I was looking for, I will press the Accept button. It gives me the next available receiver number, and I'll press the OK button. Since all the information is automatically inserted from the PO, I can receive the entire 26 or receive a partial quantity. In this case, I will receive all 26 and hit the OK key. PCMRP will now increment the on-hand quantity, decrement the quantity on order, and calculate the new average cost of this part in the inventory module. It'll also increment the quantity received. If the quantity received was equal to or greater than the quantity ordered, PCMRP will insert a capital Y into the complete field of the PO. I have set the message timeout to 2 seconds. You can use the Configuration, Settings, and Utilities option to decrease or increase the message timeout function. You can also set option 30 to 0 to adjust the adjustment methods so that they do not appear at all. I can receive the remaining line items on this PO either automatically or one line item at a time. Since this PO only had one line item, I will just click on the Finish button. I will click on the Yes button to print out the receiver. As before, I'll select Display and press the OK button. I can print out the receiver by clicking here or here. The person receiving this PO would print out the receiver, attach it to the packing list, and send both documents to accounting. Accounting would hold both documents until they receive the vendor's invoice. They would then staple the three documents together and post this receiver, debiting inventory and/or an expense account and crediting accounts payable. I'll hit the X box and return to PCMRP's main menu. Once we've received most of our parts, the next step would be to use PCMRP's stockroom module to issue the sales or work order to manufacturing. To issue parts and/or subassemblies from the stockroom to manufacturing for a sales or work order, I would select Modules, Stockroom, New, I, which is Issue Parts to Manufacturing, and I'd press the OK button. I'll accept stores as the account number. I could have selected a chart of account number by pressing the lookup button. However, I'll leave it at stores and press the OK button. I'll press OK to accept the next stock transaction number and answer yes, there is a sales or work order number. I will select sales order 000102 and press the OK button. I will select stores as my issue area. I will check issue parts automatically. This will allow PCMRP to automatically issue parts to the manufacturing floor and only stop if there's a shortage. I will check issue subassemblies if available and then component parts. I will send the pick list to display and I'm going to press the OK button. If the sales order contained additional line items, this screen would allow me to check which other line items I wanted to issue with the sales order as well. Since there is just one line item in my sales order, I will click the OK button. PCMRP now displays my pick list. It's up to you to now go out and pick those parts and hand them to manufacturing. I will make this report full screen and scroll to the right. Here I can see there were 5 wheel assemblies in stock. It needed 20 wheel assemblies, so it then resorted to issuing parts such as the 15 bearings and 600 spokes to make the remaining 15 wheels. I can print out the pick list by clicking here or here. I'll click on the X box at the top of the report to exit out of the report. If you have a file named issuestocklab.flg, that's ISSTKLAB.FLG, in your PCMRP directory, PCMRP will offer to print out labels for the parts you issued. I will display the labels and press the OK button. The issue stock flag could be created by Notepad. Just remember the extension needs to end in .flg, not .txt. I will exit out of the labels by clicking on the X box at the top of the label screen, and I'll press the Cancel button to return to PCMRP's main menu. Now that we have issued parts to the sales or work order, after a day or so, manufacturing will have assembled the parts and subassemblies. You are then ready to use the stockroom module to receive back completed assemblies for that sales or work order. To receive back completed assemblies from manufacturing, I would select Modules, Stockroom, New, and R, Receive Back from Manufacturing. I'll receive back the completed assemblies into my main stores area. I'll accept the next available stock transaction number. I will enter yes, there is a sales or work order number. I will enter the sales or work order number, let's see, 000102, and press the search button, and then click on the OK button. I can select the line items from this sales or work order that I wish to receive back. Since this sales order had only one line item and is already checked, I will just click on the OK button. PCMRP will now backflush the components and subassemblies that were issued to this sales order. This means that PCMRP will decrement the quantity in WIP for every component and subassembly issued to the sales or work order, and it will increase the on-hand quantity of the item or items that you have built. PCMRP now asks me to enter the number of hours spent on this sales order. If you enter the number of hours, it'll be multiplied by the average hourly labor rate set in Configuration, Settings and Utilities, Option 6. Alternately, if you have PCMRP's timesheet module, you can set PCMRP's Option 79 to get the labor cost from the employee timesheet module. If people have not filled out their timesheets before the sales or work orders received back, the labor costs will be short. However, the employee timesheet module will contain the true cost of labor for the sales order once everybody has turned in their time cards. After clicking on the OK button, PCMRP will inform you that the return from WIP is complete. Since our sales order items have been built, we are now ready to invoice our original sales order. To create the invoice, I will select Modules, Invoice, and New. I will select the invoice to be on account, which means the customer will pay in 30 days or so. I would select cash if the customer were handing me a check or giving me a credit card number. I'll pull the items from my storage warehouse. I'll answer yes to scroll the sales order file. I'll select sales order 000102. Click on the search button and then click on the OK button. I'll accept the next available invoice number. I can invoice the entire 10, or I can invoice a partial quantity by changing the quantity. I'm going to invoice the entire 10 and press the OK button. PCMRP will now decrement the on-hand quantity and the on-demand quantity. It will also increment the quantity shipped in the sales order. If the quantity shipped is now greater or equal to the quantity ordered, PCMRP will insert a capital Y in the complete field of the sales order. I've set the message timeout to 2 seconds. We can use the Configuration, Settings, and Utilities, Option 30, to decrease or increase the message timeout function. You can also set the Option 30 to 0, so the adjustment methods do not appear at all. I can select to invoice another line item, automatically invoice the remaining line items, or click on the Finish button. Since I have only one line item, I'll click on the Finish button. I can now display, print, email as PDF the invoice. I will select Display and I'll select the custom invoice form, which has my logo on it. I can now print out the invoice by clicking on the print icons here and here. I'll click on the X box at the top of the screen to exit out of the invoice form. PCMRP now offers to print a shipper, which is also known as a packing list. Once again, I'll select Yes, select Display, and the custom shipper form, which has my logo again. I can print out my shipper by clicking on the print icons here and here. I will click on the X box at the top of the screen to exit out of the shipper form. You may have noticed that PCMRP requires you to invoice before it'll provide a shipper. We felt it would be better to invoice and forget to ship than to ship and forget to invoice. So there you have it. We have used PCMRP to track and build the sales order from cradle to grave with PCMRP. If you have any further questions, please give us a call at 408-226-7321. That's 408-226-7321, or email us at support@pcmrp.com. Thank you.